Okay, since you all died in the last game session, we're going to roll up new characters today.
Oh yeah, I love rolling up new characters. It's so exciting.
I still can't believe that Gary killed my precious character. Didn't you know that I was a wizard's apprentice when I was younger?
What does that have to do with anything?
Oh, will you shut up already?
Indeed, you've had plenty of time to speak to your therapist since our last game session. And now, we'd all just like to play the game without your incessant whining and crying.
Okay, fine, but I'm just gonna roll up the exact same character again.
Yeah, whatever. No one cares. Okay, everyone, let's start with rolling ability scores.
I'm sorry, don't you mean stats?
Yes, same thing. Now go. Okay, everyone, ready to play now?
Oh yeah, I got some great rolls, and my new character's gonna be awesome.
Yep, I got all 18s straight across the board.
Oh yes, my stats are quite nice indeed. I'll finally be able to keep up with you young whippersnappers.
Yes, all set. Now, what is it?
My rolls were all really bad, and now my character sucks. I'm gonna be the worst barbarian ever.
Oh yeah? So what's changed?
Now wait just a moment. I'm sure that Describe's experienced writers could come up with a narrative description that at least makes your new barbarian sound good.
No, I don't think so. Even Describe's amazing team of professional designers won't be able to salvage my character. It's hopeless.
You suck.
Welcome to the DM Lair. I'm Lucar, and I've been a dungeon master since high school. On this channel, I give practical GM advice that you can use in your D&D and RPG games. Today in the Lair, we'll be discussing the 3 primary ways to generate ability scores or stats for D&D characters: rolling dice, point buy, and standard array. Along the way, we'll hit on advantages and disadvantages of each, with the ultimate goal of giving you the information you need to decide which method is best for your game. And since creating ability scores also signals the beginning of character creation, how would you like to have an eloquent narrative description of your new character written for you? With Describe's character request feature available to all hero members, you can fill out the details of your character, and Describe's experienced writers and editors will distill the information into an evocative short description that you can read off to your friends when your character is introduced at the game table. For instance, here we have Ghost, an elf necromancer played by Kevril N, or Rook the Warlock played by Coach Sean. Describe also has narrative descriptions of hundreds more characters and NPCs in its characters collection. You can enter what you're looking for in the search bar, or browse through the list of existing characters if you're seeking inspiration. And if you're role-playing a spellcaster and you'd like awesome descriptions of spells that you can read off as you cast them at the table, check out Describe's Spells collection. Again, hundreds of descriptions of spells for you to use. So if you want to take your role-playing to the next level and deliver awesome descriptions of what your character looks like and does, check out Describe at the link below. There's tons of free content for you to peruse, and if you decide to unlock even more with a subscription, be sure to use the coupon code TheDMLayer to get 10% off your first payment. Number 1, rolling dice. All right, we're going to talk about dice rolling, and there are various ways to roll dice to generate ability scores, which I also often refer to as stats because that's how they were often referred in the earlier editions of the game. The first way to do it: 3d6 in order. You basically roll 3d6 6 times, and the order they are in corresponds to your strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. I got 5 fingers and there were 6 of them, so I kind of screwed that up. Anyway, this is the old school method of generating stats. For example, I roll 3d6 the first time and I get a 4, a 3, and a 2. The total is 9, and that's my strength. I roll 3d6 again and I get a 1, and a 3. That total is 5, and that's my dexterity. I do this 4 more times, and I end up with an 11 for constitution, an 11 for intelligence, a 10 for my wisdom, and a 13 for charisma. Now, I literally rolled those dice right now when when I was writing the script for this video, just to see what would happen. And you can see that this often results in a weaker PC than any other method. And that's not just because I just did it now and got a weak PC. It literally, that's the way it goes with 3d6. You will end up with lower scores. This is a statistics question, not an example question. That's just the way it is. It also forces you to choose a race or class based on your roles instead of playing what you want. In the example above, I'd probably pick a charisma-based class, such as a bard, because I had a higher charisma, but I wouldn't even be that good of a bard because my charisma still wasn't that great. The benefit of this is that you can discover new ways of playing that you might like. Let's say I've never played a bard before, they never really appealed to me, but because of my roles, I kind of get forced into it because of the high charisma, and then I might find that I really enjoy playing bards. Of course, the con to this, the disadvantage, is that you can't play something that you had your heart set on. Well, I mean, you could. Like, if I wanted to play a rogue and my dexterity was 5, I could technically play a rogue, but I would probably be the world's worst rogue. And yeah, that would suck. I mean, at least for me. Maybe somebody out there would love it. The world's clumsiest rogue that fails at everything and never accomplishes anything. And you would have to question how they survive as an adventurer. But hey, it might be fun for someone, sure. Also, not only are you kind of forced into going a certain way because of the way that the dice are rolled and the stats are generated, but your character is going to be pretty weak too, just according to its ability scores. Now, this is good for grittier games where death might be more common and life is cheap, or for low power campaigns where the game master doesn't want characters to start out fairly powerful and then become very powerful really quick in the game. You know, kind of the way traditional 5th edition is set up. Start powerful and then you become even more powerful. Now, note that most, in my opinion, most groups of younger players might not like this method. This method will most likely appeal to older players. This probably is because old school D&D tended to be this way, and new school D&D just is all powerhouse, overpowered, everything kills everything, and you can never die sort of gameplay. But that's more of a generational difference, I feel, between the games than anything else. Of course, it might appeal to young players who simply want to experience something new, or to whom the nostalgia of old school gaming appeals. I'm personally kind of on the cusp right there between old school and new school. Most of my time, though, has been spent playing new school style of play. And for me personally, when I play like earlier editions, I get a huge boost of nostalgia, and I think it's super, super cool. The other extreme of rolling dice is going to be 4d6, drop the lowest, and then rearrange as desired. With this method, you roll 4d6 6 times, drop the lowest d6 from each roll, and then assign the results to whichever of the ability scores you want. All right, let's say for the first roll, I roll 4d6 and I get a 5, a 4, a 2, and a 4. Now the 2 is the lowest roll, so I discard that roll. Then adding up the 5, the 4, and the 4, I get a 13. But I don't assign that to any ability score just yet. I finish rolling all of my scores first. And so I roll the second time, another 4d6, and I get a 3, a 1, a 3, and a 1. Really bad rolls. Now I throw out a 1, leaving me with 3, 1, and 3, a total of 5. That really sucks, I'll be honest. So I finish rolling 4 more times, always discarding the lowest die rolled, and I end up with a 9, 18, actually rolled 4 6s that time, a 14, and a 13. Now that I've rolled my stats, 13, 5, 9, 18, 14, and 13, I look at my different abilities and decide which numbers I want to assign to which. Let's pretend that I still want to play a bard. I would most assuredly assign that 18 to my charisma, and would start off at level 1 with a very capable bard, as far as charisma-based mechanics go. This contrasts heavily with the 3d6 in order method, where I started out with a fairly average, perhaps even crappy bard. Now, the advantages to this. It's usually going to result in fairly high ability scores. Now, in the example here, which I literally rolled when I was scripting this video, they weren't the super greatest rolls I've ever had when I was rolling 4d6, drop the lowest, arrange in any order, but they weren't super horrible. I've had times where I made out like a bandit, had a couple 18s, like a 16, and just had amazing starting stats. So you usually have good enough scores to play whatever you want in the game. the paladin, the bard, whatever you want. You usually can arrange it and play anything that suits you. And you're also going to start off at level 1 with a very capable PC as far as ability scores go. Now, the disadvantages of this method. Because you have high ability scores at the beginning of the game, there isn't much room to grow. Leveling up and gaining power isn't as exciting because you already have higher stats to begin with. Leveling up and gaining power is one of the big draws of games like D&D that use level-based characters. When level 1 PCs are already really powerful, leveling up might not be as fun for players. But they still get other things when leveling, so this drawback is probably a slight one, to be honest, and I would imagine that lots of players just don't care. This is probably more of like a game master argument. Players potentially are just like, whatever, screw that, give me bunches of power, I don't care. But psychologically, still maybe not as fun, even if they're not aware of it, because they're already super powerful and there's nowhere to grow, nowhere to go. This method is good for high power campaigns where the GM wants the PCs to be powerful so that they can throw powerful bad guys at them and challenges at the players. Actually, in my games, I don't mind it too much when the characters are pretty powerful, because that is just all the excuse I need to just ratchet things up and use some of the really cool bad guys in the Monster Manual books and Tome of Beasts and stuff like that. So it doesn't bother me a whole lot when characters are powerful. But I, as an experienced DM, obviously know how to deal with that situation. Not all dungeon masters will know how to do that sort of thing. Okay, next, dice rolling variations. Variations. There are tons of variations of these two bookends for ways to roll ability scores. You could do 3d6, choose the order they appear in. You could do 4d6, drop the lowest, but you do it in order. And there are other variations that you might dream up. Okay, dice rolling pros and cons in general, regardless of the method that you use. Advantages. Using dice to roll ability scores is probably the most interesting and fun because there is the anticipation and excitement before you roll. You don't know what you're gonna get, and you're hoping that the rolls will be good. If you get great rolls, you're pumped for your awesome stats. Of course, if you get bad rolls, that will probably be a letdown. And disadvantages, and this first disadvantage is a huge one. Different players will get different results. Some players will make out like bandits and have awesome ability scores. Others get screwed by the dice and they have crappy ability scores. So there is a lack of fairness in the end results, if not necessarily in the method itself. Some will say that bad ability scores can still be fun, and that running weak PCs is lots of fun. Now, this can be true, of course, but it's probably a minority of players that feel this way. And players that don't feel this way, well, you can't really force your beliefs, preferences, and experiences on them. Now, can you? Well, you could try, I suppose. Lots of people try doing that. Doesn't usually work though. No matter how much you tell them how much fun it can be, it doesn't mean that it will be fun for them. They might just hate their crappy, in their eyes, character. Another disadvantage here. So I strongly recommend that the game master be present and watch as the players make their rolls. This keeps things on the up and up. It's just too tempting to cheat on such an important role in the game that influences the entire course of your character. Even for players you trust, it's best to have an impartial witness to the rolls just to remove the temptation and ensure fairness. That said, it makes rolling up replacement and backup characters away from the game table more logistically challenging because, you have to be there to observe the rolls and stuff. Number 2, point buy. The point buy method is described on the Dungeon Master Guide, page 13, under the title Variant, Customizing Ability Scores. I don't know why they can't just make the heading called Variant Point Buy. I mean, that's what everybody calls it. We call it point buy. We've done so for quite some time. Why not just title it that? Make finding things in your book a whole lot easier now, wouldn't it? It's like a little Easter egg. It's like, I'm trying to find the point buy system. I can't find it. Oh, that's right. They didn't call it that. All right, the essence of the point buy system. You start with 27 points, and you use those points to buy starting ability scores using the ability score point cost table in the DMG. And the higher ability scores cost more points, which prevents you from having too many ability scores that start at like 15, 14, and 13. And the lower ability scores like 8, 10, all that kind of good stuff cost fewer points, so it's easier to have more of those. Okay, let's do an example. Let's say I want to play a bard, and let's say I enjoy creating powerful characters as well. First, I spend 9 points to get my charisma to 15, the highest possible starting score with point buy. Second, dexterity is also important for armor class, so I'll put that as a 15 as well. Next, constitution is always important no matter what character you're playing, so I'm gonna bump that to a 14. But now I only have 2 points left. I don't want to have a negative int and wisdom modifier, so I'm gonna bump my wisdom up to 10, but now I'm out of points. So let's decrease my dexterity to 14, giving me 2 points that I can then use to give me an intelligence of 10. Now I'm a decent bard with good charisma, above average secondary scores that are important to me, and acceptable tertiary scores. And that's just an example. Many people will also consider what race they'll start as, because some ability scores will have a bonus, and then they'll use those bonuses to help determine how they distribute their points, and thus determine their starting stats. The point is this, and the main advantage as well. This method gives players ultimate flexibility and control over their starting ability scores. They can make them whatever they want, within the confines of the point buy system, of course. You can decide to be whatever class you want and build your stats around the character you envision playing. It's also 100% fair to all players. No one gets screwed by the dice, no one makes out like bandits, it's even Steven for everyone. This also allows players to make backup PCs at will, because they can just use the 27 point buy system and don't need the game master to observe their rolls, if you believe in doing so, which many GMs do. Disadvantages. Let's be honest, it's not nearly as exciting as rolling for ability scores. Starting stats aren't usually as high as some dice rolling methods can be either, such as 46 drop the lowest especially. And I say can be because remember, there will always be players that get crappy starting stats when you're rolling dice. I've even sometimes used a hybrid of rolling dice and point buy. I've had players roll dice, but if they get really, really horrible stats, they're allowed to use point buy instead. That's one alternative way of doing it to help ensure a little bit of fairness in outcome, if not fairness in method, because there is a difference. Number 3, standard array. This method is mentioned in passing on DMG page 13 and isn't even labeled as standard array. Why not? Why not? I mean, is standard array new to 5th edition? Have we not had it for quite some time? Like, why don't we just publish the terms that players have come to accept? I don't understand. Am I missing something? Somebody please tell me that I'm crazy and I'm missing something. There's gotta be, why wouldn't you just call it standard array and publish it that way? I'm confused, very confused. Okay, anyway, this is how it works. Every single character starts with the following starting ability scores: 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, and 8. And then they can assign them in whichever stats they want: strength, intelligence, wisdom, etc. And that's it. No frills, no excitement, no customization possibilities, no chance to work with your race to plan out for ASIs to even things out. You get what you get, and that's it. The only advantage I can think of for this method is that it's easiest to explain to new players. But come on, this isn't brain surgery. Rolling dice or point buy are not hard to explain. I mean, I just did it in this short video, you know. Human beings are the dominant species on this planet for a reason. I'm sure players can figure out how to roll dice and use point buy. If I'm just being obtuse and overlooking a big benefit of standard array, please yell at me down in the comments and let me know what I'm missing. I know there are game masters out there who like standard array. I just don't understand why. All right, what's my preference? As a game master, I like both rolling for stats and point buy. I've done both before, and I currently mostly use point buy because it provides fairness to all players and allows them to roll up backup characters at will without me observing their dice rolls. I used the 46 drop the lowest arrange as desired method for some time with my groups too, but I always observed players getting screwed by the dice and then being disappointed with the results. This never really sat well with me because I want my players to have fun and enjoy the characters they create, so I transitioned to point buy. As a player, I really like rolling dice. If I get high results, that is awesome. I love it. It's the best thing in the world. I have a great, powerful character. It's fun. And if I get crappy results, that's okay, because now I have some flaws I can roleplay, and I rarely get all bad results. At least one stat ends up being really good, so that becomes my primary ability score. Like if it's if I'm a bard, it'll be my charisma, you know what I'm saying? And then I have a decent character that's good at least in that thing, and my PC can still do okay in the parts of the game that require rolls. The other thing too is that when I'm a player, my PCs usually don't survive very long either. So if I get poor rolls, I know that I'll soon be playing a different character, so it's not that big of a deal. My suggestion for you is to discuss this with your players at session 0. See what method you all prefer. Of course, as the game master, it's always your right to choose what the players will be using, as it's your game and you're running it. But it's always a good thing to ping the players for their preferences and take that into consideration. Don't forget, if you're a game master looking to reduce your prep time and improve your games, Lair magazine might be exactly what you need. It's a monthly RPG publication that all DM Lair patrons receive. Lair magazine contains a plethora of game master resources such as NPCs, magic items, traps, puzzles, new monsters, and complete D&D 5th edition adventures with maps for use on virtual tabletops. And if you're a dungeon master with questions that need answering, follow me on Twitch at the link below. I have weekly Q&A live streams and I love to help you out. If you enjoyed the trendy shirt I was wearing in this video, give me a thumbs up and leave a comment for the algorithm down below. Let YouTube know that my sense of style doesn't suck. And until next time, let's play D&D.